I'd like to open up the meeting of the Township of Hamilton Committee for Monday, June 18th, 2018. Please stand for the flag salute. John, would you like to lead us?
Sure. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided pursuant to the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law by posting a notice of this meeting on the bulletin board in the municipal building and by publication in the Press of Atlantic City on January the 5th, 2018, and the Atlantic County Record on January the 10th, 2018. Mr. Gishard?
Present.
Mr. Kurtz?
Here.
Mrs. Link?
Here.
Mr. Silva?
Here.
Mayor Schenker?
Here. Can I have a moment of silence for private reflection? Thank you. We get started tonight. We do a guest presentation. The Green Team's here to discuss discussion regarding the plastic bags.
Good evening. Thanks for having
Evening.
us tonight. The couple of us are just going to speak to you briefly about some of our efforts. We have had an ongoing effort to educate our residents on the effects of single-use plastic bags and other plastics in the local environment. And tonight we want to ask for your request. I can't even speak. You think I'm nervous up here? Can you believe that? Anyway, we're going to request your support with some things going forward. Could you give them, we have some good goodie bags for you tonight. And in the bags, there's some articles that you probably have seen and or read. There is also a copy of a resolution that we'd like you to just look at and see if that's something that you'd be comfortable working with. The resolution basically asks that you, that you recommend to people that they use reusable bags.
Thank you.
I do want to let you know what some of our efforts have been to date. So Sue's going to come up and she's going to talk a little bit about how we started our efforts.
By the way, if we accept these bags, we have to use them, right?
Yes. For several years now that the Green Team has been in operation, we have distributed bags to different businesses in town. Brownie Squared was one, Smoky's World was another. The Mace Landing Merchants Association, where Ingrid came and spoke one night about reusable bags and what the Green Team was doing, and bags were given out there. The churches in town also. The library was a big one. I was working there at the time, and I was encouraging patrons to bring their own reusable bags, and I had them stop using plastic. We didn't hand out plastic bags anymore. And we got a sign saying that had orange bags that were reusable available to them, which supported the foundation, and we had a sign which said, "Orange, you're glad to go green." So we thought we were pretty cool. And we sold a lot of those bags, and they were also very bright, so if you were crossing Main Street, you could be seen from a mile away, which is also an added benefit.
Yes.
We also have given out bags at Dickens of a Holiday, Hometown, National Night Out, Fall Festival. I'm surprised everybody in town doesn't have one, to tell you the truth, because we've been giving them out now a couple years. So that is what we have tried so far, and with every one of our efforts to distribute the bags, they had to listen to our spiel. So, thank you.
It's good.
Sue, stay there a minute, okay? It was interesting, since you and I spoke last week, it was amazing how every store I went to, it always seems everyone puts your goods in plastic bags. The issue that I see is not that the cause is not a worthy one because of its effect on the environment and other issues as such, but how do we get the commercial businesses to do this? I mean, we've got to give them choices. We have to find a way to go with it. I mean, education, you've been doing it, but how do we get into the retail places?
Well, I would propose that the Green Team contact places like Target, Acme, the mall, different spots, Walmart. Some of them may have dealt with this issue in different areas that might have banned it or whatever, and they might have some ideas that I haven't thought of or we haven't thought of. So to sit at the table with them too might be a really good thing.
Well, even
to get
there
some
for a
ideas.
while, they were at some of them, like I know my family bought them, they've got the bags that they use for shopping. Whether it's an Eagle or it says Acme on the front of it or another brand. But they bring it there because they're more substantial in carrying them.
Sure.
I mean,
But I
the
think
plastic-
consciousness is being raised too, all over the place.
Right.
You're seeing, you pick up National Geographic, it's about plastics. You pick up Time Magazine, it's about the plastics in the ocean. You pick up Sierra Club, everywhere. People are being bombarded with what's really happening. So I think that will be helpful.
Do you, and I guess what I would ask you is, I mean, what would be the impact financially on a retail outlet to change? In
I
other
don't know. I would have to ask a
Yeah,
retail
we'd
outlet
have
the
to
way they
find some
perceive it.
statistics on that also, both in terms of, going from that, because even I've noticed at the store, sometimes people don't like the plastic bags to hold their goods, they like paper bags put inside of it to make it stronger, because there's a certain weakness to those bags. My point is, and I think I related it to you, I was reading an article online about they had a killer whale wash up on shore,
yes.
and they opened it up to do an autopsy on it, and they found that it was full of plastic.
You'll find some photos in your.
Is that the one?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
One more thing I just want to mention, because I really experienced this. My son in Philadelphia had moved there, and he had a neighborhood association, and got a lot of people together, actually, throughout the city of Philadelphia to try and talk about plastic bags and perhaps have a ban or a charge. And they raised $7,000, I mean, for advertising and to talk to people. The American Chemical Council spent $1 million, and it was roundly defeated. So just so you know, we're dealing with bigger
Right.
guys out there sometimes, so that's something.
Well,
to
the
be
bigger
aware of.
bulk stores like BJ's and I know like that, if you wanted to take a box, you can, but they don't bag anything for you. You take it out in your cart.
That's right.
You know that, so
And
if
I
you-
go to BJ's all the time, and that doesn't stop me, so,
Right.
thank you.
I have a question. Why, in our recycling, why don't we take plastic bags?
That's, believe me, someone will address that very quickly, thank you, yes.
That was perfect, Judy, that was absolutely
Yeah.
perfect.
Judy, you knew that, didn't you?
That was
We
the next
practiced that.
phase of our education strategy. Just to step back for a minute, you'll see articles in your packet there about Longport and towns that have proposed
Yes.
bans. And they're actually not, I should not say bans. The first step many towns are taking are asking stores to charge for the plastic bags, because basically it reimburses the store for the purchase of those bags, So it ends up being not a financial issue for those stores, but more of a PR kind of a nightmare. But I think that there are proposals now in the county and in the state too for an actual, we don't want to call it a ban, but it is, to try to ban them statewide. But we're asking tonight is just for some encouragement of our residents to think about these issues and for you to take a little
Right.
look at what we've got. The next thing I was going to talk about, and Audrey's going to help with recycling of these bags. You can't recycle them unless you take them back to the store, ShopRite or Acme, and they're not really making much of anything great out of that recycled plastic. But Audrey's been trying to get her community involved, so I want to let her tell you just for a minute about what she's been doing.
Thank you, Ingrid. So I'm a resident of the Fairways community, and since I moved there last year, I've become a member of the Green Team. So I've taken on an initiative, and I am going door to door in my neighborhood. And I'm asking my residents and neighbors not to use this, but more importantly, don't let this end up in the recycling bin. It's a nightmare at the ACUA. It's like sucking this up in your vacuum cleaner. The line has to stop, they have to pull them out with rakes. But more importantly, recycling is undergoing right now a real challenge. In January, after notification of all places and countries for 5 years, China told them we're not buying recycling, and nobody did anything about it. So now recycling is sitting in warehouses waiting for the Philippines and other countries to gear up to buy it. So recycling is a grain of sand in the Sahara. The real answer is reduction. There's no need for this anywhere in your life. I take my fabric bags, which I have been giving out door to door with the information that's in your bags, which is how to green our grocery cart, so that we really don't even want to think about what we're going to do with these, because we're not going to need them at all. The average household uses over 500 bags a year. It's 12 million barrels of oil to make them. That's enough that if we didn't buy these and make these, we would never have to buy oil from another country. Do you realize the implications of all this? It's phenomenal. And the fact that a fabric bag will keep this out of the waste stream, out of the ocean, off the side of the road. So I go door to door and I encourage my neighbors and I give them a lovely bag that they can wash and reuse and take it to CVS and take it to Target and just get used to changing our perception of trash. And for senior residents, a lot of people, trash is something they didn't think about for 50 years. You threw it away and the guy took it and you never cared. But for our children, our grandchildren, some of us great-grandchildren, I don't want my kids living near a landfill. So by changing our carbon footprint and just doing these little educational things, and that's our support. The Green Team is our support, Sustainable New Jersey is our support. After I finish this initiative, and it may take me all summer, I'm a slow walker, but I'm gonna hit every house, and we need support to go neighborhood to neighborhood and try to get rid of these.
What about Wawa?
Anybody. They all have initiatives, but it's up to consumers to be re-educated, to say, I don't need a bag. I have my bag. I have my bag. I take mine to Boscov's, I take it to Target. I never go anywhere without a bag.
So this is, basically, these bags are a culture.
These are garbage.
We were all about paper bags,
It's what we're used to.
and
We'll
then
manage
these
it.
plastic bags came out. Nobody liked them. 'Cause
Well,
they,
yeah.
they're weak and they don't do this and they don't do that. And now they're a problem.
They are a problem.
So this, you see more and more of this.
Yeah.
This is no longer, you see one here, one, you see these all the time now. And a lot of companies are getting on board with this. To Roger's point, though, I think, you have companies like the Kohl's and Best Buy and some of the other larger chains that are going to take a little longer to get on board with this because it is a massive cost. But that doesn't stop you from, actually, it's a really nice bag, by the way. It doesn't stop you as a consumer.
We would rather
Right.
work on well, we're gonna do it all, but
Right.
that's who we are. But we would rather work with the consumer to change their perception of what is good and what is easy. And it's
No,
just
I
a
think this
choice.
is a really,
It's one choice versus another choice. And if you think about what one good choice can do for the ecology and for our world, it's easy.
right,
With a lot of support, hopefully, from the township, we can keep going.
sure.
You know, when we look at some of the decisions that were made in New Jersey, and think about it, when I was a kid, you never found bottles anywhere, because you grabbed them because you knew that there was a deposit on it.
Worth money.
So now you see broken glass all over the place. I still
We're
see
gonna get you all reusable bottles.
I know,
Those
but-
water bottles up there have to go.
the people who want to be educated will be educated, and we'll work with you on this. But
It was a setup.
what percentage, Ingrid, what percentage of recycling do we, have we achieved in this township? 30?
Oh, we're over 30, definitely.
And how long
We're
has it
probably-
taken us to get that far?
Well, I've
You've been
here-
at it a long time.
I
too.
was hired here in 1992 as the recycling enforcement officer, part-time, so I was the girl picking through people's garbage to make sure that they were recycling.
You know, that would be a very
Great
worthy-
job.
That would be a very worthy cause to get in with our young people, even into scouting, Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts, to look at this as an initiative to try to change the culture of what's out there. And, and rather than just say, well, it's in a plastic bag, because I still see people coming with a lot of plastic bags and putting them in a receptacle there in front of Wawa. What they do with them, I don't know,
Oh, they're
okay?
not supposed to.
Yeah.
The scary part is, you're right. I see more on the roadways every day, and it's a crime.
That's why I always tell kids when they come to our table, when we're at our different, fairs and stuff, like, go home with mom, and on the way home, look out the window and count how many plastic bags are in the trees on your way home. I bet you'll get
Oh, they're
up
everywhere.
over 10,
Yeah.
at least, I mean, it's just a statement.
Just litter in general,
Yeah.
when I was younger, it wasn't as bad as it is. People just don't.
There's been a lot of
Out the window.
improvement in things like illegal dumping,
Yeah.
because landfill fees have
Yes,
gone down
yes.
since the 80s, but litter in general, I can still drive, up to see my daughter and be behind 5 or 10 people who are just throwing something out the window of the car.
Litter years ago
Has
used to
the
decompose.
ACUA undertaken this under their wing to try to promulgate this information out?
They're doing a lot of efforts to try to at least get people to keep them out of the recycling bins. And they depend on us. It's kind of it dovetails nicely with the Clean Communities program that I've been involved with for a long time, litter prevention. So that's why this is something that we're able to work with really well on the green team. It serves two purposes.
One of the biggest factors involved in this is just our habits. And I will tell you that I've had plenty of bags, but unfortunately, I go to the store and don't always remember to bring them. So what
App
I'm,
for that, Rodney.
there's an app for
There's an
that?
app for that.
You tell them, take his
There
bag
is.
back if you don't use it.
So,
There is an app
bag
that,
back.
if you let it know your location, it knows when you're pulling into the parking lot of a store, and it will remind you to take your bags in.
well, I haven't gotten that crazy with apps, but one of the things I do, and I would suggest you all think about is just stick the bags in your car. And, right, and when you get, yes, I do. And that would really help.
Well, thanks for listening. Oh, you've got a question?
I just want to say that from a retail standpoint, when you go through, all retailers have catalogs that they look through to buy these bags. And I can tell you that the plastic bags in those books in the section that their bags are in has dwindled. And you're seeing more
Oh, really?
reusable bags displayed in these publications than the plastic bags now. And that's starting to dwindle more and more. So it is something that it's a matter of training you, getting it right, and they're the people that have to really start it.
Right.
The
And if you-
manufacturers is to say, no, we can do this with a cloth bag, you know
Yeah,
what I
we
mean?
have
or
grocery
another
stores
type
now,
of-
Lidl and Aldi's both will charge you for bags. They won't provide them for you.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting. I do have bags for the rest of the audience. I'll be here till the end of the meeting if anybody wants one.
I
Thanks
would
a lot.
suggest, number one, is to get more, and I don't know if it has an app, but the only place I know to recycle those bags is the Acme.
Yeah.
And Wawa stopped. They don't recycle that bags. They have the Walmart. I don't know where they have. Where is it in Walmart?
Yeah.
Well, there's a big area for front.
I'm not sure, but I know they haven't been there.
Okay, but, to make it more appealing to people, at least if they're going to use them. I have more Wawa bags than I have anything. And I can't think of going in with a little tote and saying, put the items in. I mean, you can, but it's a matter of, we want to go in there real quick and get something, so.
Pocketbook and it's a bag, it's two things, it's both.
Oh, well, you tell that to half of the gentlemen that are going in and out. Yes.
You do get used to it. It's an effort.
It is an effort.
It's like me trying to remember to bring my reusable coffee mug,
Yeah, I'm
too.
just saying
I
that
forget it all the
that
time.
effort, is there any remuneration? And you're saying that if we stop using the bags, it will provide, oil, because we're using oil. And so sometimes I'll say, keep the bag, save the oil, or something like that. Yeah.
fine,
Well, it also can prevent a lot of marine mammal deaths. I mean, if you look, I put some pretty graphic pictures in here.
Yeah,
Or you could have these
it's very
labeled Gucci.
sad.
Yeah, we could.
I'm telling you, or something like that. But all kidding aside, anyone who is used to using them, I have bags of them in both of my cars. And whether they have eagles on them or they have something else on them, you just get used to using them.
so let me suggest before we end this, there is a proposed draft resolution that you gave us in the package. It simply, what it asks for is very simple. It says, we strongly encourage the residents of the Township of Hamilton to use reusable cloth. Suggests we encourage our residents to educate others, and that we encourage our business owners in the township. And I know you're not asking that this be looked at now, but that the committee just take a look at it, and perhaps at a future meeting, we might consider passing this resolution.
That was the object.
I don't see why not.
I don't either.
I mean, this is part of what it's going to take to get people to change their culture, is to make them aware of it.
With your endorsement, that's fabulous.
Sounds like you have it, I
Mike, you like
think.
to have a copy of this? Do you have it? Okay.
All All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We have additions and deletions of late agenda items to be considered for action tonight. We have 2 items.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? The ayes have it. Early public comment on agenda items excluding items listed for public hearings. Anyone, Mike?
No one has signed up.
Okay. Number 3, discussions, formal actions may be taken. Resolution authorizing the planning board to undertake a preliminary investigation to determine if Block 1135.01, Lot 10.01, Atlantic City Racetrack property qualifies as an area in need of redevelopment. The authorization is to investigate the property as a non-condemnation redevelopment area. Bill, you want to give us a little?
Sure, Mr. Mayor, I realize we gave you a mouthful to say.
Yeah.
Maybe the best thing for me to do is start by introducing our redevelopment counsel, James Maley, and I'll let Jim take it away from there.
Gee, thanks, Phil.
That was
Hey, leave me something to say. Thank you for appointing us, for bringing us in. We're looking forward to get some things done, get things moving for you and here in the township. I'm actually going to, let me talk about both of these resolutions they have before you. One is a resolution referring a potential redevelopment designation for the Atlantic City Racetrack, and the second is referring over to your planning board a rehabilitation designation of kind of your Black Horse Pike corridor of properties along there. The world of redevelopment, there's really 2 different steps to it. Rehabilitation and redevelopment have many things in common. They give a greater flexibility to the township in terms of zoning, in terms of really all parts of government, making it easier for developers to get approvals and get through the process. The rehabilitation areas are eligible for 5-year tax abatements. The redevelopment areas are eligible for longer than 5-year tax abatements. There's also in redevelopment a potential that can be chosen with the right of eminent domain. The one we're doing with the racetrack is specifically stating that it's a non-condemnation, so that right of eminent domain will not attach to that redevelopment designation. The process is that these each get referred over to the planning board. The rehab designation is a much easier, simpler designation. It's based on standards such as whether or not your housing stock is more than 50 years old on average, or your infrastructure is greater than 50 years old. It's based on some pretty objective standards. It's an easier test and burden, mainly because it never includes the power of eminent domain. Redevelopment designations are a little more involved. Redevelopment designations, to be eligible for that long-term abatement and potentially an eminent domain, but it's not for this case, you have to go through and show that there are certain criteria under the statute that have been met that equate with blight. So it's a more substantial, a more serious burden that has to be satisfied. Evidence will be presented before your planning board, and they make a decision as to whether or not to recommend back to you to designate that area as a redevelopment area. I can tell you that the rehab area, you have a copy of the draft ordinance, draft resolution. It's a little bit of the state statute's a little, it gets a little messy because you have to do a resolution asking the planning board to look at a resolution. Usually they're looking at ordinances, but they have to look at this resolution.
Right.
That's attached with the resolution referring it. Phil has completed a little bit of a report that satisfies the statutory requirements for the rehab designation. In the redevelopment, we have spoken with the owners of the track, with their council. They're all on board, want us to move this to go get this redevelopment designation completed so that it will help enhance their efforts in attracting something, some development into the racetrack. We don't have any specific project, there's just nothing on the books. This simply will set the table so that if and when there's someone interested in doing something, you will have the ability to have input in what it is, how it develops, and potentially what incentives or help you can give to a project to make it work for not only the property owner, developer, but for the township as well. So that's, tonight's just referring it over.
Okay.
Could I ask for a clarification on the eminent domain portion of this? I guess that's for rehabilitation, you're saying?
Redevelopment
Re-
only.
Redevelopment only.
And it's not, it's specifically, under the new statute, a couple years old, you have to, at the outset, state, condemnation is authorized, condemnation is not authorized.
Right.
This resolution states up front, it is not authorized.
Okay, thank you.
So,
And-
so we're basically going to, if this goes to the planning board, they're just going to take it as the resolution and say, yes, we're okay with this. As far as all the nuts and bolts of it, is it a case by case?
It's not on the, in terms of what you might do with redevelopment there, or on the designation. The designation they'll
Well,
recommend back to you.
Redevelopment more so than, rehabilitation's pretty much set in stone what we can do there.
And
Where redevelopment is a little more open-ended, where we can decide to do maybe a longer abatement program than we would do under rehabilitation. There's other little nuances that we may or may not do.
Well, you pretty much have all of the same powers in both, in rehab and redevelopment.
Okay.
The only differences, which are mammoth, I mean, you're able to act like a business. A lot of the rules of government are suspended. You can sell, if the town owns land, you can sell land without having to bid it. You've got a greater flexibility, not that you want to do it, but if you ever want to spend infrastructure money on a project that is just benefiting a private development, you can do that.
Right.
So there's all kinds of flexibility in both. The only differences for these are going to be the term of the abatement. Rehab is 5 or less, redevelopment is 5 or more. Okay?
Okay.
That's the differences between the two.
Redevelopment is
Flexibility does that give them?
Pardon?
How much flexibility does that give, let's say, the racetrack in terms of?
It gives them great, I can tell you, we're in the midst of dealing with Seaview in Galloway right now, and the new purchasers coming in, buying from Stockton. It's a huge benefit to talk in terms of zoning, how they can get flexible zoning and quickly make changes on different development projects they want to do. It's a lot of intense negotiation about what will a pilot program be. It lets you suspend a lot of the rules to bring a project that you want to bring.
Right.
If it's a project you don't want to bring, then you don't have to do anything for anybody.
Right.
It puts the governing body in control and gives you a greater ability to help projects that you want to come.
Right. As much as this is a mechanism to help bring business here, we want the right business.
Absolutely.
And, from the very start of this, that was the goal, to have the right things here and not just open the door to whatever wants to come in. You're going to attract better businesses simply because of the fact that you have this type of power to go one way or the other based on the property. Like I said at the last meeting, we have a property down on the Black Horse Pike where a restaurant called Sabres sat until it burnt down, I'm going to say 40 years ago. I mean, it's been a long, long time. And that property is vacant and has been vacant ever since. So, there's properties across the street from the mall where there was a restaurant that was booming when the racetrack was booming, and it hasn't been since then. So we kind of got stuck in time in some of these properties, and this, I believe, will be something that can catapult us out of that and get some good businesses in here.
I wonder if you could clarify something again.
Sure.
You mentioned that it eliminates the requirement to go out and forbid for all parcels. Is that right? Or-
If you have a piece of land that you are
It is municipal
selling,
property, right.
you are not required to bid it.
So, let me ask you, we have an industrial park. Are you saying that we are not required to?
Currently, Mr. Since the
I know,
Industrial Commission controls the
Right,
industrial
yeah, I
park,
understand that,
they
yeah.
negotiate that on your behalf, so it'd be somewhat similar to that.
But if we didn't have the industrial commission, then you're saying the township, if we designated that as rehabilitation, we could have done that.
Well, the industrial park already is.
It's already.
No, I understand that.
Already is
That's a hypothetical
rehabilitation.
question. And it could apply to some of the properties that we may be thinking about.
Yes.
And the other question quickly is, does the area have to be contiguous, or can we take several non-contiguous pieces of land and make that part of the same effort?
So let me answer your first question about bidding. No, you're not required within a rehabilitation or redevelopment area, you are not required to bid in order to sell public land, okay? You still can, okay, you still can. It's really a decision as to whether or not it's more important for this parcel that we just maximize the dollars, which I think we'll get that in auction, or it may be, listen, we like this use. And so we want this use, and we're willing to forego 50 cents because we like the use, and we want to be involved in controlling how they do this, okay? So, yeah, you can do it that way. On areas on whether or not they are contiguous, the standard is when you're doing you can do individual lots, okay? If you're doing a number of lots in an area, it would be best if you made them contiguous, but you can include within areas properties that don't satisfy any of the criteria, okay? You got a neighborhood, 20 homes in a row, you can do that block, but one of the homes or 5 of the homes may be the most beautiful home you've ever seen. But the standard is if the generality of conditions in the area satisfies the statutory criteria, it can be designated, okay? So you can include properties that are perfectly fine, and what that does, we would always recommend that, because what that does with this, in the world of non-condemnation, there's no disadvantage to a property. When you get this designation, all that happens to you is if and when you want to do something with your property, you can go talk to town and say, listen, can I get any assistance? Because I'm going to add a kitchen on. I'm going to add a second floor to the office. I'm going to do whatever. Can I get some help with that increase that I may be hit with taxes for some period of time to help me get it done? And it puts a rateable on the books for ever and ever.
I had a question.
I'm encouraged by the correspondence that you received from council.
Oh, yeah.
His comment.
The racetrack's ready to go.
Please let us know the amount of funding from my client that you think is needed to defray the township costs through the RD process pursuant to the usual funding agreement. That's encouraging.
Yes, it is. It is. We can't, and I'll just tell you, you can't do that quite yet.
No,
Okay,
no,
we want
no,
to
I
get through the
understand,
process,
but-
then we can do that.
But the fact that they're already on paper.
Yes, oh no, they're ready to go. They are ready to go.
They're fully aware of what this
Yes,
means.
they're ready to go.
And this may be the piece that they've needed for some time.
Yeah.
Yeah, your racetrack is gonna be a very hard project. Like, their demolition numbers because of environmental contamination
Yes.
are gonna be astronomical.
Yes.
So working, even on things like that, where they would wanna go to DEP to try to get funding, to try to help them with that, having the township with them,
Right.
hand in hand as part of a redevelopment project, gives them a gold star, helps them as they're going through that process, that it's a redevelopment designated area, the township is declared, we have an interest in getting this area redeveloped. It helps in every way.
As a planning board member for a lot of years, I know that we always looked at different discussions and things about the racetrack, and we were always in hopes that it would include some element of lodging, a hotel, a small conference center, something like that. We have a 115 square mile township and no place to stay. I mean, there is no hotel in our township. And I just was, hopefully, by this designation, maybe it's good when people come in to indicate as a township that, boy, a lodging component as part of what you're planning is something that we would like to see.
So that's what the give and take in this process is, okay? As developers come in and they want help, okay? It gives you the ability to say, well, we're happy to provide that help, but we would like to see ABC, okay? I mean, it can get down to, example I use is you can, say we want blue shutters on the house. You can get down to specifics, things that a land use board can't do.
Right.
Okay? But because you're just in a contractual negotiation to offer some assistance to help, you can get into the nitty-gritties and try to make that project be more tailored to what your community thinks is best.
You mentioned that the cost associated with preparing that site could be very expensive.
Yes.
And I'm just curious, when I look at it, it looks like it's a lot of open land. The only thing I can think of possibly is I know at one time, they used to take out dump truck loads of horse manure every week. Is that what the contaminant
No,
is?
the indication they gave me is the buildings that are there, that there's severe asbestos contamination.
That's what I understand.
That's extremely
Okay.
expensive. to
There's
do.
a
Severe
big numbers-
asbestos
Big
contamination.
numbers on that.
So for a while, this project working hand in hand, while they work on, I don't think anybody has an idea of what to do with the site, okay? But what advances the ball is a designation like this, and then what advances the ball is a plan to prepare the site for someone to come in and develop it. Because for somebody looking to, do a development, do any kind of redevelopment, a hotel, whatever it's gonna be, when they come and see that, that they're looking at a multi-million-dollar bill to walk onto the land, they go, well, no, that's okay, thanks. And they'll go try to find another site. But if you put together a plan through either, there's still some funding through the state in terms of that you can pay those costs with increases in sales tax, and there's different methods to help pay for that. Now you've got a plan, and you can say to that developer that's interested, hey, look, here's how we're gonna do this. We get you into this project, and here's how that cost can be covered.
I'm encouraged.
Yeah, it's a step. It's a step.
Good stuff in
It's
a
a
short,
long-
short period of time. I mean, I know it's just the initial phases,
Oh, no, yeah.
but we're moving in a direction that at least we can get some real answers out of to track. It's good.
It's going to take some good decisions on our part, though, if we move ahead with this, because there's a lot of latitude there and a lot of ability to make mistakes, so.
Yes, there is.
Mayor, I could move this resolution.
That'd be great.
Now move it.
All right.
Does, excuse me, does this include anything that would be incentive money for people to come to our area?
It doesn't include anything. It simply enables you that if you wanted to, you would be able to do that. Okay?
So in a sense, it will,
It enables you to set up whatever program you want. If you wanted to give somebody $100 as, contributing toward their cost of opening up an ice cream stand, and that's what you wanted to do, under the law today, you can't give
do
a
it.
private
Right.
property owner the $100 to help get that ice cream
Right.
stand open, okay? If it's a designated redevelopment area, you can give them the $100 to help them to open that ice cream store.
oh, well,
Okay? So it lets you develop those financial incentives however you may want to. You may not want to do anything. You may want to do things to attract different particular kinds of businesses. You may want to structure your abatement program to incentivize only certain kinds of businesses, certain kinds of development that you may want to come in. You can incentivize and target those to try to help encourage that.
have you looked at the Wheaton's property, I guess,
I
guess-
haven't looked at it myself. I'm relying on,
Yeah,
as
I mean,
Phil
the-
is my,
is that
The
under,
Wheaton's is already a redevelopment area. So
Redevelopment,
that's
yeah.
something we would have to go back and look at. One thing I would add to what Mr. Maley has said also is that when you're talking about incentives, having the redevelopment designation and being a redevelopment area, it does open up state-level incentives through the Economic Development Authority, as long as
Okay.
that program's still in existence. And
all
that's,
the programs exist, not much cash in them, but all the programs.
but again, most of the stuff for the state is if you do so much, then you get
X amount?
a rebate or refund of certain taxes you generate. So that's, their incentives are on the tail end.
Okay.
Okay. We have a motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
This motion is on 3A.
Yep.
You want to do a roll call vote on this?
Mr. Gishar?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
And Mayor Shanker?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
We'll move to B, 3B, referral of a resolution to designate an area in need of rehabilitation to the planning board as required by New Jersey SA 40A 12A-14. So this,
It's just to that
It's gonna
area.
cover both of them. This is the rehab component on the Black Horse Pike corridor.
all right, so let me ask you this. There's, we've designated an area to start with. The planning board can only take that area. In other words, they can't expand on this.
They could recommend back to you that you consider expanding it.
Okay.
They can give you whatever their thoughts are, they can send them back to you.
So my only, and I'll be very honest with you, I'm a fan on expanding this because I think it benefits the town, and there's areas of the town that could use this, that could attract better and newer businesses. But I think that if we were to do that, if we went that far, we would really have to sit down and carve out some guidelines prior to just making it the whole town. Because that's now going to affect residential, foreclosures in residential. You see what I'm saying? So I think that we need to, if we vote on something like that, I would like to see that all carved out before we move forward with it.
So this resolution is a corridor of the Black Horse Pike.
Right.
We're suggesting you move on this one
Yes,
because
I'm with
it's
you. Mm-hmm.
ready. Because Phil has it all done, it's all ready to go, okay?
Good.
We also, later on your agenda, in 6C, you have a resolution that would authorize engineering design to work on a designation of a rehabilitation area for the entire township,
Okay,
okay? So as part of that process and
Okay.
putting that together, we can map out so that you're, running on a parallel track exactly how you'd like to see operate. So once that's completed,
'cause
it
there's-
has to go to planning board, then it comes back to you, like, it's a little bit of a
right.
process.
So when it comes to residential, for those who don't understand, that don't know, there's money guidelines. How much you spend, how much is going to be under this pilot. It's not an unlimited number, and we have to decide what number it is, anything over this, or,
Yes, so the rehab designation, okay, let's say if you were doing the whole town, you're gonna designate the whole town. That does not automatically put in place any kind of abatement program.
okay?
We are working on, and working with your existing abatement ordinance, and trying to put together an ordinance kind of as a working draft
Okay,
for you to review, to go through, I say the same lines all the time, I know some of you heard this, but the state statute is like a Chinese restaurant menu. You can pick one from column A, one from column B, one from column C. You can really put together an ordinance that is tailored to encourage and give incentives
Right.
to, if you want, single-family homes only. Or it can be to everything but single-family homes. So we would work with you to go through and put together that abatement program. That is a separate process from the rehab designation. When you do your designation, it doesn't change anything. Your rehab's in place. Now, if you want to put a pilot program in place, now you have to adopt an ordinance to do that, and we'd have to come up with what program makes sense for you.
okay.
Would
Okay?
that have to be in accordance with the Pinelands and the density?
So the Pinelands are even like another layer on top, okay? The abatements you can offer regardless of the Pinelands regulation, okay? Pinelands will kick in terms of your land use approvals and your zoning about what's going to be permitted. They still exist. It doesn't go away, okay? But you could, there will be properties, I'm sure, where folks could take advantage of a great pilot incentive that you're offering, except they can't build anything on it because the Pinelands won't let them. Okay? I mean, that may come to pass.
That's never happened before.
It's just layers. We can't get rid of that.
And I assume the same principle would apply with regard to our master plan. The master plan would still apply.
So once we do the designation, okay, then we need to adopt a plan. And the plan is the second step of this that gives the governing body these powers, these authorities, okay? That plan, which we would probably be recommending that the plan that you adopt doesn't change any of your zoning, keeps everything in place. It's just you have to have a plan, okay?
Yes.
So we do the plan, and that plan would get referred to your planning board as you're going through the ordinance process. And one of the things they evaluate it for is consistency with your master plan.
Okay.
Okay? I can tell you that one of the powers you have is you are able to adopt redevelopment plans that are not consistent with your master plan. The governing body just needs to say it out loud and give the reasons on why you're doing it. In my experience, 99.9% of the time, it's consistent with the master plan. It's very rare that happens. But redevelopment, the whole process you go through is saying this area is special, okay? This is a special area that the private marketplace is not developing for some reason. So we need to help it. And because of that, the law gives you the ability to say, I know this isn't exactly consistent with our master plan, but we think this is a really good project to go here, and it even lets you act then. But you need to say it out loud and give a reason as to why you're doing it. So, yes, that review is done by the planning board.
I have a question also about Wheaton's. They were going to have, condos and stores and blah, 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 blah. Really beautiful until the fire. Now, if you had, like, you wanted to have 10 different stores there, would you be restricted to having all hair salons there? Or, in other words, would you be able to choose what kind of what kind of store would be there instead of, in our current thing, we do have quite a few hair salons in Mays Landing. And in order to attract the people we want to come and, visit Mays Landing, we would want to be able to say, yeah, I'd like to see A, I'd like to see B, I'd like to see D. In other words, not be restricted to whoever wants to come in.
So that would probably, if that's what you want to do, that's probably not something that would go into a plan, because your plan really becomes your zoning document, okay? And it's not an appropriate, zoning doesn't regulate the specific use, okay? It can say, these are permitted, but we don't say, we don't want 3 Italian restaurants in a row, okay? But in part of this process is a redevelopment agreement, this contractual relationship where you say, okay, we're gonna do this, we're gonna make sure that sewer line comes here, the trade back and forth. That is the potential area where you could say to a developer, listen, we want a mix. We want, this percentage of personal services.
Oh, okay.
This percentage of,
That's where your negotiation would
that's
take
where you
place.
can, yeah. In my town, I always get yelled at, we have too many, Collingswood, we have too many Italian restaurants, okay? To which I always say, you mean the restaurants where people are standing in line outside? We have too many of those, right?
That's a
So-
bad problem.
So what the mix is, nail salons are probably a real popular spot too, right?
Yeah.
But, I think in an agreement, that would be more appropriate where, you can, listen, you can have discussions with them and say, we want blue shutters, okay? You can get down
So-
to that. It's all a trade in what makes the project happen the way you want it to happen.
What attracted me to this was that you are no longer sitting back and waiting for businesses to come to you. You are actively going after them. We're making our town more business-friendly. I spoke to the gentleman who was the head of the real estate for Lidl, who just walked out of Mays Landing and never coming back.
Who is this?
And I called him and asked him why. All I wanted to know was why. There was a lot of reasons, most of them corporate reasons, not a lot of the rumors that you heard, they're not true. But what they did do, and this is what people have to understand, they invested $700,000 in that deal and walked away. To you and me, that's amazing. That's, oh my God, that's money. I can't even imagine doing that. But to a large corporation, it's not uncommon. One of the reasons that they're a foreign company coming in from Germany, they're not familiar with the United States. They kind of jumped in with both feet, now they're pulling back a little bit.
Yes.
And they finally developed a team that is now a abatement team. They're going now, they have a team that goes around and says, all right, we're in this town, this town, this town. Which ones have abatements? All right, the ones that don't, we're done with them. And they're walking away from $700,000 deals. Looking at this, I'm not saying it's never going to happen again, but the chances are a lot less that it will. It'll make our town much more attractive, and it'll be attractive to better businesses. If the racetrack gets developed and the right thing comes in, it will change the face of this town. Not only will it will it change the face of that racetrack property, which we all know that needs a little facelift. So I'm very, very excited, and the more I hear about it, the more I hear you talk about it, I understand it more, and where it gives us some type of control to guide this thing.
Yes.
Instead of just saying, hey, whoever comes, comes. And when you do that, they don't come.
There's
no incentive.
I'll just tell you that if you think of towns that you think there's a lot of development, they've done well, they've been, really developing in a nice way, I will bet you a nickel that there's redevelopment designations and rehab
Yes.
designations, and that
Hamilton.
the town's involved and help steer in that process.
Yes.
I think, is Hamilton one of those?
I don't know specifically on Hamilton, that I don't know.
Yeah.
He's only,
Glassboro is, I don't know if you've been to Glassboro lately, Glassboro is, towns that we're doing work in, there's a lot of places that are
Yep.
using this.
What Italian restaurant would you recommend?
Now they're like children, I love all my children.
okay. We have, do we have,
I
I'm
can
sorry.
make that referral with a resolution.
Okay, we have a motion,
I'll second it.
we have a second. Rita, let's do a roll call.
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
And Mayor Shanker?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much.
Thank
I
you very
appreciate you
much.
coming
Thank you
here
for your-
tonight.
Again soon.
Okay.
Okay, let's move ahead to number 6. We have no public hearings, we have no ordinances. So number 6, award of bids and contracts and change orders. A, resolution awarding a contract for voice data and IP services to Mettel in the amount of $42,858.36.
Did have a question on that,
Okay?
which, I don't know whether you had a chance to get an answer to that.
I did. They won't, it does include a component of Comcast and of,
Yeah, my question was,
Right.
why is this not Comcast? They talk about voice data and IP services.
I talked to Steve, and he said because they won't deal with us direct, they want us to go through these.
Really?
But they are involved in this. They are part of this process.
They don't want to deal with us directly because we're too cheap, or what?
I don't know the reason why, but I think,
That's interesting. Okay.
and this is a 3-year contract, so this price is over 3 years.
Okay.
That's the total amount for 3 years? I'll move that resolution.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Rita, can I get a roll call vote, please?
Yes, Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
And Mayor Shanker?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
B, resolution authorizing the purchase of a 2018 Caterpillar 420 F2 IT backhoe loader from Foley Cat through the Educational Service Commission of New Jersey Co-op. Contract number ESCNJ 15/16-08 in the amount of $114,000. Mike?
Mayor, we budgeted $100,000 in our operating budget, so one of our other projects is going to need to come in under budget. So, or we'll have to do a transfer, so this is slightly over, but
Okay.
still recommending.
Okay, so moved.
We have a motion.
Second?
We have a second. Any questions?
Yeah, I have a question, and I think I mentioned this to you, Mike, but I noticed when you look at construction sites all around, frequently they'll have these Japanese construction vehicles. I'm just wondering, does the state only buy American, and that's why this is CAT? I'm just curious.
Well, this is actually through a co-op. No, it's one of the types that you can buy through the co-op, and that's what.
Then will the state allow purchasing foreign construction equipment?
I'm sure they would, they bid them, but
Okay.
this isn't a state bid, this is through a co-op.
Well, it's nice to know we're competitive, if in fact that's the case. Okay, thank you.
Rita, can we roll call vote, please?
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes,
Mr. Silva? Mayor Shanker?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
C, resolution accepting the proposal for the preparation of the rehabilitation plan by Engineering Design Associates, not to exceed $6,500.
The one
So
they're going
moved.
to do the entire town, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
This
that's what I
funding is coming out of our general engineering line item, so.
I
make
move
that
to
motion.
accept the motion?
second?
We have a motion and second. Rita, any questions? Rita, roll call, please.
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes,
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
And Mayor Shanker?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
D, resolution authorizing the purchase of a Ford F-150 4x4 crew from Winter Ford under the state contract number 88728 for $32,888.
This vehicle would be for Mitzvah's fire chief. It's the fourth in the line of 5 that we're buying over 5 years. We have one left. This one's for Mitzvah.
And is their
Move the
vehicle, they have a current vehicle now, or is,
No, their vehicle was we took it off the road probably 3 years ago because it was rusted out.
that would account for why I see them riding around more in the fire truck?
I move item D.
second?
Second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions? I have one. You said there's one more to buy?
Yes.
What town, or what section of town?
Weymouth.
Weymouth, okay. Rita, can I have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes,
Mr. Silva? And Mayor Shanker?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
E, resolution authorizing the purchase of equipment needed for upfitting of 3 Ford Police Interceptor SUVs and 3 Dodge Chargers for major police supply under state contract A81330, total cost not to exceed $52,500.
The upfitting is what, all the electronic stuff they put in here?
The lights and sirens and some of the electronics.
I move to accept.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions? Rita, can I have a roll call vote, please?
Yes. Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
yes,
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
And Mayor Shanker?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Thank you. Number 7, consent agenda.
There was an F.
Yeah, there's an F on the late,
Oh, I'm sorry.
that's it,
I think you came here, John.
6F.
Let's go back to 6F, resolution to reject all bids and rebid the contract salt storage building, bid number 2018-05. Mike, would you like to elaborate on this just a little bit?
Yes, we had a couple documents in the bid spec that weren't, well, one document at least, that wasn't the correct document for contracting.
Okay.
It was more for supply, or for
Supplying it.
services
Right,
as opposed to contracting, so,
okay.
yeah.
So
So
we
we,
to reject it.
Second.
second?
We have a motion, a second. Any questions? Rita, can we get a roll call vote, please?
Yes. Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes,
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
And Mayor Shanker?
Yes,
All yes and carried.
thank you. Now we'll move on to consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda, items A through T.
I'll second it.
Have a motion and a second. Any questions? I have one question. Can you just briefly, the renewal of liquor license with special ruling?
The Platinum Showcase.
Rita do that one?
Yes. These are inactive licenses. In both these cases, they're called pocket licenses, so they haven't been in business. You get 2 years. After 2 years, if you'd like to keep your liquor license, you have to petition the director of the Division of ABC for a special relief.
Okay,
And this allows them to keep their license, and they have to, in order to get this, they have to demonstrate that they've been actively trying to sell it.
okay.
Thank you.
What is the Platinum Showcase?
What is it?
Uh-huh.
Used to be a bar.
It was a bar, okay. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm not
Not a very
familiar.
good
Been
one,
out of
but-
business for a couple of years.
Okay. Do we need a roll call for these? Yes? No?
No.
All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? The ayes have it. Move on to 8, personnel. A resolution appointing Lisa Margalongo to Township Hamilton Municipal Alliance Coordinator effective July 1st, 2018 to June 30th, 2019, at $2,000 annually to be paid quarterly from the 2018-2019 Municipal Alliance Grant, which is recommended by the Municipal Alliance Chair.
So moved.
Second?
There a motion and second? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. B, resolution appointing municipal,
Don't you have a roll call?
roll call, I'm sorry. Rita?
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
And Mayor Shanker?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
B, resolution appointing municipal alliance members for the term of July 1st, 2018 to June 30th, 2019.
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion second. Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Move on to 9, approvals. A, minutes of the June 4, 2018 regular meeting.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. B, payroll and bills. Bill list total $791,367.63.
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion second. Are there any questions? Seeing none, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
And Mayor Shanker?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
10, reports. Mr. Administrator.
Nothing to add to my written report.
Okay. Solicitor?
Nothing to add.
Nothing? All right. Mr. Engineer.
Mayor and committee, I just have a few items on my report dated June 18th. My first item is the Verizon building. A few weeks ago, I prepared a sketch for landscaping and benches and trash and recycling receptacles for the, in front of the Verizon building. That sketch has been circulated to Verizon, and they're reviewing that. They seem to like that sketch, so we'll continue to have some communication with the owners of the building of Verizon.
Okay.
Second item is the road program. I'm working on the 10 streets currently, the survey work is almost completed. We're working through the designs on the first ones that we've completed with survey work, so I'm going to move ahead and push and get all 10 roads out to bid as quick as I can. Just a quick update on Tavistock, the survey work's completed there. I've started on some design work on Tavistock, and I know I'm doing this sort of on my own outside of, any finalization of Tavistock, but I want to be prepared when there's a resolution to that bond
Okay.
issue. Third thing I list on my report is I just wanted to report to committee that John Brooks' recovery is due to come to the planning board this Thursday night, and that's a 58,000 square foot, 120 bed recovery facility, and that's going to be on, that's located on Pinewood Boulevard.
Is that the one next to the inspection station?
It backs up to the inspection station, and it's alongside of North American Composites, and actually,
It's up in that keyhole?
it's up in that keyhole up there. with
Because we
cul-de-sac.
just paved that, too.
Yes, yes. It's a 5-acre site, so they're coming to the planning board this Thursday night.
How many beds?
120 beds,
100 and,
120 bed facility.
I'm sorry, you said that was what kind of facility?
It's a recovery center.
Recovery center. Okay, thank you.
The next item is, this past week, I met with Brett Knoll. We looked at the chiller outside, and I have someone in my office, one of my partners, Joe Buffet, has some experience with cooling units, and we're going to be putting a package to replace that. We feel confident that we could put a bid package out sometime this summer, but for replacement in the fall of the cooling unit, so.
And that was included as a budgeted item in the, yeah, okay.
Sorry, what's the problem with that unit?
It's 25
Basically,
years old.
Exceeded its useful life. And
It's what?
It's exceeded its useful life, and we've been putting a lot of money into it annually.
Okay, yeah.
When it came to me, the decision was already made to replace it, so. Volunteer Way, I'm still working through, when Volunteer Way cul-de-sac was eliminated, I'm working, there's 3 property owners out there that we're going to do a street vacation where the cul-de-sac was eliminated and Volunteer Way became a connector road. Working with the homeowners association to finalize the acceptance of those portions of land that will be given to the property owners that are adjacent. Eaglesmere would like to put a sign up. They're taking it internally through the process with their homeowners association, just to get some bids on they're gonna put a sign up, the price of the sign they're looking for. So I spoke to Marge Wilson this afternoon again, and as soon as I get the okay from her, I'll finalize, I'll do legal descriptions, and we'll get that resolved and get that underway. The last item I have is 2 new street opening permits we processed with South Jersey Gas. I typically do about 2 or 3 a month. When these road opening permits are issued, South Jersey Gas goes out, they do these patches, and when they get to a point where they have quite a few patches that are unsatisfactory, I usually call a meeting, and I'm at that point right now. I'm pretty unhappy with the patches they've done. I wait till I get about 10 that I'm unhappy with, send a strong letter, and then take it up a little higher level with South Jersey Gas, and we look at them. So be patient. If you see any patches out there you're not happy with, it will be resolved at some point here.
Is that what happened up on Main Street when they were out there addressing that area that they dug up quickly one day and then put it back?
Yep, that's
Yeah,
exactly.
same.
But they're in such a hurry.
We
Yeah.
talked to them about the one out by Elmer Ripley, too.
I've been to Elmer Ripley's house twice. That's on the top of the list.
Okay.
When a large truck comes down, they hit that patch so hard, his house shakes a little bit.
He
So
said they
I-
replaced it, but it still
It still is.
has a hump.
So that's on the top of my list.
Are they going to come back and do more of it?
They are. Not the problem that I'm having, but that's on the state highway. That didn't get processed through, the township, but still, I have their ear, and I'm gonna make sure that
Oh,
gets
that's
taken care of.
good. I mean, he appreciated your coming out there, too. I mean, it's really done some damage inside his home, too.
It has done. There is some physical damage inside that house.
what is the work that is being done on the Black Horse Pike?
Buffalo Pike Associates?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
Klein, yeah, Klein,
Yeah, they started out there two weeks ago. I should have had that on my report. They started 2 weeks ago. That area of the site has to be filled about 5 feet. Late last week, all the stormwater inlet boxes were delivered. They installed the sewer, they started installing the municipal sewer line today.
the yellow sewer line?
Yes.
Okay.
So they're telling me that they hope to be done by October. So that's the schedule. They seem to be working diligently. Again, the connector road is going to be installed. Renaissance Way is going to connect from the Black Horse Pike to Volunteer Way.
Okay, is it gonna interfere going to Custer Castle? I guess they have a little space that you can go in, because there's several stores, the Maplewood, right, and Carmen's up further.
Yeah, it shouldn't have any impact on any.
None, okay. All right.
Thank you.
That's it?
Yes.
All right. Steve, I'd like to thank you for your efforts at Tavistock to get out in front of this. It's just a matter of time that we can get this wrapped up, but that'll be that much further ahead that we are when we actually get the green light to move forward. So I appreciate your efforts.
Thank you.
Township committee members, Judy?
I wanted to ask Steve another one. How is Conifer, the development doing right there? Is it almost done, or?
Kevin Dixon stayed with that project. He's doing all the inspections, and he copies me on all emails, and I talk to Kevin at least once a week. Things are moving along, you know, I see all the emails, and.
Is it ready for occupancy?
Not yet, they have some paving to do, but I could find out
It'll be fast.
what the opening date is, and I will let you know.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I really enjoyed being at the ribbon cutting for Underhill Park, a Boy Scout a project that was done there was amazing. They had a retaining wall all the way around the scoreboard, and it was done in such a professional manner that I thought, well, maybe they would like to also be engaged in redoing the lighthouse at Lake Lenape Park. So I reached out to them for that. And we have the hometown celebration coming, and I'd like to announce we're all set to do the Pooch Parade. We sent out 80 invitations to people to bring their dogs, and with, stipulations, of course. And I think it's going to be very successful this year, and I hope the hometown will also be a very good, have a lot of people there. We have that new parking lot that we can look at behind the courthouse. Is that going to be done, or is it done already?
It's done and striped.
Done and striped, yeah.
Beautiful. I haven't been there. I saw the machinery there, but I didn't see whether it was done. Okay, so that should be very good. And that's it.
Thank you, Judy.
You're welcome.
John?
Yeah, I'd just like to touch again on the hometown celebration. The Mays Landing Merchants Association has got a pretty good handle on the event now. It's we cut off vendors. I was told they cut off vendors because they have like 55 to 60 vendors already, some food trucks available. So there's a lot going on down there at the park on Saturday the 30th. We hope that everybody in the township can get out and enjoy themselves at our hometown celebration. The street will be closed from Route 50 down to Farragut, and there'll be some setups along the street there, some new cars on display from some of the different dealerships around. And Petrosh is doing some of the bouncy rides and games for the kids. So it sounds like it's going to be an exciting day. The train ride again for the little guys, except this time I think they're going to go all the way around the courthouse. So it's going to be pretty neat, and I encourage everybody to come out and support the town, your community, by coming and attending our hometown celebration. Also, this Friday, the 22nd, is the Senior Citizen Advisory Committee is having their senior fair at Hamilton Mall. In the morning it starts, and I think it goes until 3 o'clock. I'm not sure of that time, but that's close. They held it last year. It was a big success, and we're looking forward to it being another one. Diane Fox is the chairman of that group. She's done a great job putting this together. Also, the same day, Big Lots is opening up at 8:30 a.m. Another store welcome to our community. So we're excited about things like that. Between that and the development that's now happening over at the Benderson project, it's good to see these things finally coming to fruition and moving. Nobody likes to see empty stores, so Big Lots came in at a good time. So we're excited about the way and the direction that things are going in the township with new businesses. And that's about it. Thanks, Art.
Thank you, John. Roger?
Tell me, Steve, he's not putting a mattress store in there. We don't need another mattress store in the township, huh?
Another
Hey,
mattress store.
one day, they're all gonna go out of business, you know that, huh?
No more mattress.
Well, not everybody sleeps as well as he does.
So, but you know, it's interesting, when you think about this community and as much traffic as we have going through it, there's a lot going on. And the township is doing a lot too. I mean, we talked about the salt shed. Obviously, when you get that rebid, Michael will be spending a substantial amount of money building that. The road program's gonna be very big, hopefully. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. And, you know, we just spent a lot of money refinishing the hockey courts. And it's not like we're not doing anything, so there's a lot going on. That's why, Art, I'm very encouraged about Jim Malley in terms of this whole program, and I'm glad that you took the lead on that too, because I think it's gonna make a difference over there. That's such a big piece of land. And did Phil leave? I was gonna ask him one question about, you know, there's a segment of that property that is vacant. In other words, there's nothing on it but driveway and a parking lot and whatnot. I was just wondering if they could separate that out and even do something. And, you know, but anyhow, I don't want to mess it up. I think we've all hoped for years that that place would come into its own, along with what Art was talking about with Zabers. So, but the Boy Scout project was probably one of the best Eagle Scout projects I've seen in a long time. You could tell he put a lot of time and effort in that. There was a lot of donations for that. I know you saw it, Steve, and what he did over there was spectacular. I think when you look at the efforts that are put by our contenders or those individuals coming up for Eagle Scout, they need projects to do, and there's a lot of good ones around the township for them to do, and I encourage everyone to try to support them as much as you can. As far as Friday, John, with Big Lots coming, you know, that's going to be a big store.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's as big as the one in Summers Point, I mean, it's nice that when the store goes out, one comes in and replaces it. So, I mean, I think we all eagerly await that, so. But there's a lot of good things going on, and I think if you stop and look at it, this town is busy, so. And we're looking forward in the hometown, so. Thank you, Art.
Thank you, Roger. Rodney?
Yeah, I just, I won't belabor the point, but I just want to encourage anybody who hasn't been out to Underhill Park to take a look at that scout effort. They talked about it, just the bricks themselves, they were telling me were 8,000 plus. I mean, it's quite a facility, and it fits in very well with the flagpole that's behind it. The two of them look great, the 40-foot aluminum flagpole. So take a look at it if you get a chance, really great work. Many months ago, I attended the South Jersey Science Fair, and I happened to mention to our superintendent that I didn't see anybody from this area in that science fair, at least from Hamilton Township. Well, he recently invited me to serve as a judge on our science fair here at Hess School. We did have one. It was very interesting. I think there's a lot of promise, and maybe in the future we'll get to join South Jersey. Some of the projects there were interesting. One had to do with toothpaste. Which toothpaste will make your teeth the whitest? And I felt good because I picked the right one.
You care to divulge it?
Well, I don't know whether, it was actually Crest. But they had a number of interesting projects, crystal growth and looking at different detergents to see how well they cleaned. The main thing is to get the scientific approach across, and that was good, very good. They also had an art show on the same day.
What grades were involved?
This was the fourth and fifth.
Fourth and fifth?
For that, yeah. We mentioned, again, the scout efforts. On May 26th, there was a ceremony in front of the VFW, and it had to do with a plaque for the USS Scribbling. We have an anchor out there, which some of you may have seen. That was picked up by a gentleman, I have his name written down, but back in 1978. He noticed that that was available, he requisitioned it, and he must have been a member of the USS Scribbling, I guess, at some point. So that's been out there, but it took until 2004 to have a ceremony for it, and once again, that was a Boy Scout effort. In fact, the Boy Scout was Eric Francis, who I believe is the son of Mike Francis. It's a very nice ceremony. Well, someone out in California, the USS Scribbling staff, crew, they still meet, and somebody out in California, well, the commander noticed that we had this anchor here, so he asked if they could get together and provide a plaque. Well, they did that. They came out there. There was a ceremony on May 26th. It involved Eric and I believe his father, and it also involved 4 crew members, I believe it was, and several of the VFW folks. Very nice. Some of the stories they told about the Stribling were really exciting. This was a destroyer, and among other things, it's been around the world, but they also had opportunities to up against the Russians, and they had some really exciting stories to tell about that. So I had one, oh yeah, yeah, I think we did cover that. So, yeah, I guess that's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks, Roddy. I'd just like to comment, when Judy talked about our young Eagle Scout who did a fantastic job, and I want to thank Brett Knoll. He kind of, he cultivates these projects. These kids come out and they're looking for something great to do. This project was fantastic, and the nicest part was when they unveiled this plaque that was made. The kid didn't know anything about it, so that was really a nice touch, and the guys from Public Works did that, and it really turned out nice. And I understand you have a list of projects, so that's good. That's good stuff. I'd also like to thank all the volunteers that were out there. They really did a great job, and you could see the look on his face, how happy he was, and how proud he was of what he accomplished. Again, the merchants looking forward to Hometown Celebration, and I'm especially excited this year because it's back on Main Street, and I think that's where it belongs. It's where it was when I moved here, and it's back there now, so we're all kind of excited, a little not sure, but, because it's gotten bigger. That was the one problem with possibly moving it back to Main Street, is it's much bigger than what it was years ago, but I'm sure it'll go off without a hitch, and it'll be a good time for everyone, so if you can get out there, get out there. It'll be a good time. I just wanted to speak again. Jim Malley, we found him through Phil and Steve Filippone. He has done what he's done in many, many towns. They've been very successful, including, he mentioned Glassboro towards the end. Not all that development in Glassboro was done by the university. It's done by, the private investor. So when you put these things in place and there's property available and you make it attractive, these are the things that can happen, and I'm really, really looking forward to it.
Glassboro is impressive also.
Isn't it? Yeah,
for
it
those
really
who've been
is.
out there.
It's really turned around, and it's continuing to grow. I think we have the same opportunity there, and one of the things that, even before we started on this, we have Outback Steakhouse coming, and you didn't mention that in your report. Do you have any idea where they're at right now?
They're waiting on their Pinelands final approval letter that they hope to have this week, which means that within 30 days, they'll be under construction.
Okay, so, yeah, I know they put everything out to bid, but, so Pinelands is,
Pinelands is
that
holding
piece of
them up
property is
right-
surrounded by buildings and a major highway in front of it.
Yes.
Yeah, they really got to look at that one. Might slip through the cracks. That's all I have. I would like to open it up to public comment. Jim?
Now that sports betting is a reality, I would like to see the racetrack become a betting place.
Become a what?
Betting place,
Betting place.
sports betting.
You never know, Jim. It all depends on what they want to do with the place.
Hopefully, it will be reopened someday because the township is losing revenue,
Mm-hmm. Yes, they are.
not only from that place, but from Zabers as well.
Mm-hmm.
We're trying to find replacements.
And John, now, where's Big Lots again?
It's
Excuse me?
H.H. Gregg.
Where H&H Gregg used to be.
Oh, okay. Because Toys R Us closed, so something needs to go in there, too.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of empty space in this township, and we need to find a way to fill it.
And we're trying. We're definitely trying.
Yeah, good. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Yes, come on up. Sure.
Hi, Sue Marks on Main Street. I didn't know there was any recourse. My house, when they go over the manhole cover that they sunk down a little low, shakes like 80 times a day when the bus goes over it. Can I be added to your list?
Absolutely.
Patches that just ain't working well, please, yeah. Okay.
Elmer's 1A, you're going to be 1B.
Thank you. Okay.
I'll take care of it. I know where you live. I know which manhole you mean.
Ooh, I bet you
There you go. Anyone else?
Move to close the public portion?
Second?
second.
A motion and second. Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it.
Motion adjourned?
We have a motion to adjourn with a second. Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you.
Aye, aye, aye.